Hi, I'm going to tell you about a problem with Anthropic skills. So Anthropic released this concept called skills. I can teach an agent to do a task a couple months ago, about a year ago actually, and it's really nice. And so here's an example from their actual GitHub. So it talks about all of these things. It's basically prompt injection. You can talk. It can do all these things, description, stuff like that. But there's some limitations here. Essentially, if we were to consider this like code, it's really kind of like old assembly code. This is the code that went to the moon. And it doesn't really have a lot of sort of modern constructs. I can't include skills into another skill. I don't have any basic control flow. The famous paper when go-to is considered harmful was about structured programming. And you can't really do that now. Essentially what you want to do is you want to go from here to, let's say here, modern Java. So what I decided to do was I created something called structured skills. And this is the next level of skills. It's called strusky. Here's an interface for it. And so here's an example. It is a VM-based programming language. This is the very first programming language for agents. And you can teach an AI to actually create it. And so essentially what this is an agentic agent maker. What do I mean by that? So here's a couple agents over here that I actually was able to one-shot. Here's a GitHub friend finder. And so with this one, essentially what it does is it can analyze your code, then it can suggest collaborators based on those. And so let's look at the code a little bit more. So here, as you can see here, I've got GitHub search as a first class object. That is an MCP server that it can be included. And so then you can have repository query. And so essentially what happens is that this can have MCP and other skills as first class objects going in here. And then you can create these things from a point. You're not supposed to demo inference at runtime, but essentially you describe this thing. Oh, why not? Okay, I want a deep research agent that uses Brave, and actually let's just do this from just to show you the flexibility of this tool. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to day 50 structured skills, and I'm going to do it from here, agent create. So we can do that thing, and then it's going to then go off and try to create this thing based on whatever my settings were. So it's going to load it, and it'll eventually create. Again, it's doing a bunch of agentic work. It'll create something like, let's do structured skills. SSSRC. So it'll create something like here, research agent. So essentially what you can see here is that it imports it from an MCP server. Then it has inference as a first class object. You can do all these things, and then it puts it out at the end. But it does more than this thing. So essentially there's a couple other things I can do. There is a way that you can actually serve these. And so this becomes let me put it to import. Let's put it over here. So now there is a way that I can send this code off to server and then have it run remotely. And so I go to the docs to get the Swagger from here. And so then essentially what this allows me to do is then have an agent runner that I can run at any given level of machines. And so then I can have multiple agents talking to each other on multiple servers that then can work together kind of as a bus. And there's another thing within here, which is basically, if you look at the code itself, it also has a JavaScript layer. And if I go to, I think it's, where's the JS on here? JS, there it is. And so this is something that then will look at the strusky file. It'll be able to serve and parse and then run it. And so this makes it so that you can, and there's also examples here, of course. And so you create the agent, then you run on top of that. So this, and here's another example from there. So what this allows to do is it allows you then, there's a lot of agent companies out there, there's built-in tools and there's opcodes, and it's a full VM, is that it allows you to create essentially these $10 million seed-rounded agent companies at the such and such, and then you can one-prompt it. And so essentially, let's say you have like a bunch of documents that you wanted to research on, then you want to infer like this, and you want to create a map and blah, 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 blah. All this complex stuff. And if you ask Claude Code to do it, it'll drop the ball. Now, Instead, what it will do is it will write the actual strusky code to do it, then it will send it down to the VM, which will use an instruction pointer to go on down all of the things. It also has a universal debug connector, and so you can debug it with Visual Studio as the LM runs through it, and then you'll get the output. And so this now is an agentic agent maker. It's the first thing out there that does this. And I use a lot of the tools to do this. I did probably 3/4 of it here. The commit does go back, but I did a lot of it here. And that's what I wanted to work on today, and I did, and I'm glad I did, and hopefully you found it useful. I can get too technical, and I can get too boring sometimes, but I hope that you enjoyed it. All right, bye.